All right, everyone. I am going to be absent today, so we will actually just proceed as normal with whoever your sub is. So the plan for today, after we finished all of our data collection and metric Olympic events, was to kind of finish the rest of the packet. So here's what you might need to do, right? So page 1, right? If you can read that, that was supposed to be filled in. That top part came from your notes, right, of the measurements and the units, okay? And then the bottom part was basically just a different way to write that staircase. So writing your prefixes over here, the bases, the examples of those bases, that's all from your notes, all right? So that could be something you could work on. The other components that you might need to work on that we didn't necessarily talk about is calculating the error, okay? And the percent error, okay? The error and the percent error. A couple of ways, instructions of how to do that. All right, so the error is just the difference, how far apart they are. All right, make sure your error value is always positive, right? And so if your estimate was 100 and the actual was only 80, okay, your error would be 20. You would just kind of find the difference of those two, right? So it doesn't matter, always just, you're just subtracting those from each other, okay? And so your error is just how off were you, right? How far apart were you? All right, and this gives you some directions of how to calculate that error, the percent error. But basically all you do, and you're welcome to use a calculator for this, is what you do is you take your error, okay, and you divide it by the actual. All right, so in my example, okay, if I was 20 off, right? So if my estimate was 100, okay, and the actual was 80, my error would be 20. So then I'd take 20 and I would divide it by 80, right? So the error, how far off you were, hit division sign on a calculator, divide it by the actual measurement, and then my example would be 80, okay? Hit enter or hit equals, okay? And then multiply that number by 100, okay? And that turns it into a percentage, right? So take the error, which is basically how far off you were, division sign, the actual amount that you measured, okay? Hit enter or equals, right? That should give you a decimal. Or if you were so far off, it actually might give you an answer over 1, but typically it might be a decimal. And then you're multiplying that by 100 after you hit equals, right, to turn it into a percentage. And that's what you should write down in that percent error category there. All right, and there are some questions. So then after you do that, after you calculate your error and percent error, right, if you didn't get to it during the stations, there were some metric conversion problems to do. So what you needed to do there is just convert the units. So like this first one, for example, says 30 meters, you're turning that into centimeters, right, using our staircase. And then it also says, also identify the prefix and the base for the end unit. So that would be in this case like centimeters. So for prefix, I would write C. For base, I would write down M. Okay, and there are scenarios where if it's just a letter by itself where there isn't a prefix and you just leave it blank and write down the base. Okay, and there are some conclusion questions to answer. It says answer the following question using the data you gathered. What event had the lowest percent error? So you should look up here, what number is the smallest? Okay, what had the highest percent error? Again, write down which number was the biggest, okay? So you should do that for all of the events, right? So flipping like to mass, again, calculate the error by subtracting, finding the difference. Take that error, divide it by the actual measurement, hit equal sign, and then multiply it by 100 to get your percentage, all right? And you should do that for all of them, as well as all of your conversions and all of that stuff. And there's always a little conclusion question to analyze your percent error, okay? All right, so you should do that for all of these categories, okay? Find the percent error, do your conversions underneath each one, and then answer the conclusion question, okay? What you need to do when you're done and then finish for homework if you don't get it done, okay, is the backside. This is a little bit of a review. You're welcome to use your notes. I'll just kind of honor system that you're not going to use a calculator. You're not going to use a parent or another person to help you. This is kind of like a take-home test, right? Hence the title of the back page here, okay? And you should do some of those metric problems, and then the last one is a scientific notation problem. Now, you are allowed to use your notes in your textbook. That's fine with me, all right? You can use resources to help you, just not a calculator or another person, okay? So recap, finish the front, that's from your notes. Do the percent error calculations, conversions, conclusion question for every station, okay? And then on the back, if you get done with all that, you should work on your decimal operation problem, which again, you are welcome to use your notes and your textbook for that if that would help. Just no calculators or other people, all right? And that is due tomorrow, right? So whatever you don't get done in class, you need to take home and work on this at home for tomorrow, right? This is a kind of like your chapter 2 test grade, right? So we're doing this in place of a test, so please take your time on it. And if you have any questions, I will have my phone and my computer at home if something comes up and you need to shoot an email to me, okay? All right, good luck, and let's be productive in class so you don't have a lot of homework today, all right? Thank you.